Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So before we get started, make sure to hit the like button, also subscribe to my channel. In this video, we will talk about the rise and fall of the G-Unit empire, so make sure to watch the full video. I can remember going on a quadruple double date with my brother and friends back in 1999 and hearing how to rob on the car stereo of the Benz I was riding in. It was something that had never been done before. An unknown rapper, 50 Cent, was throwing playful jabs at all the known and established acts in the industry and having fun with it. It was actually a nice song. I bet a lot of the rap listeners of today think 50 Cent's first album was Get Rich or Die Trying. Nope, he actually had a whole career with Columbia Records back in 99/2000. In fact, he had another single, Thug Love, which featured Destiny's Child. The two songs appear on his original first album, Power of the Dollar, 2000. I actually liked the Thug Love track, cause Maze had just retired from rapping, and 50 Cent was really sounding like Maze back then, back before he was shot in the mouth. Fast forward a couple of months, the song with Destiny's Child is getting airplay on radio. It's late 99, early 2000, and just a couple of days before the video to the song was shot, 50 Cent got shot 3 times. Yeah, I said 3 times. He was shot at 9 times, but only 3 bullets hit him. There are police documents to support this. He was shot once in the mouth, once in the thumb, and once in the leg. He was dropped from Columbia Records after the shooting, and he took time off from music to recuperate with his health. When he got back on his feet, he couldn't find any studio to work in because he had been blacklisted in the industry, so 50 Cent traveled to Canada to record. He came back and started flooding the scene with his music through the mixtape circuit. He also, in 2002, released a compilation album, independently titled Guess Who's Back, which featured 2 songs with Nas, Too Hot and Who You Rep With. This album was what got him signed to Shady/Aftermath later in 2002. At this time, he had already built his G-Unit team, which had the original members, Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo. Young Buck was signed later when Nao had to go to jail. 50 Cent was unstoppable after he signed with Eminem and Jor, and he kept dropping mixtapes for the streets. 150 is the Future, of which featured his hit track Wanksta, which was later included on Eminem's 8 Mile soundtrack album. 50 dropped his debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, in Feb of 2003, and the album debuted at the #1 spot on the Billboard chart, selling 872,000 copies in its first week in stores. From then on, I guess I can say the rest is history. His buzz was crazy, and as a smart businessman, he gave his soldiers a chance to shine, releasing a joint album with them. Titled Beg for Mercy in the same year, Nov 2003, the G-Unit album debuted at #3 on the Billboard chart, selling 377,000 copies in its first week, and going on to sell over 2 million copies in the US alone. At this point, the G-Unit buzz was crazy. There was no other clique that could touch them on the scene. Fans just wanted more and more. They wanted to hear more Young Buck. They wanted to hear more Lloyd Banks. They wanted to know who Tony Yayo really was and why he appeared only twice on the album. It was really that crazy, and they were really that big. They were on the airwaves and getting steady video play on MTV and BET throughout the 4th quarter of 2003 and the 1st quarter of 2004. And when things started to cool off, Banks was the next to get the solo limelight. He released his smash single, On Fire, on April 2004, and his debut album, Hunger for More, dropped 2 months later, selling 465,000 copies in its first week and going on to sell over 1 million copies in the US alone. Multiple singles from the album dropped, and then in August of the same year, it was Buck's turn. Young Buck's Straight Outta Cashville dropped in August 2004, selling 261,000 copies in its first week and gone on to sell over 1 million copies. At this time, nothing could go wrong at G-Unit, and Dr. Dre decided to align an artist he had been working with the team. That's how The Game got signed to G-Unit, although Game signing wasn't a full signing, just a joint signing with Dre's Aftermath label. Game would later release big collaborative singles with 50 Cent How We Do, and Hate It or Love It, which went on to be bigger than any releases from the other members signed under the G-Unit label. I guess this was the beginning of the Empire's downfall, the clash of the egos. I would say it serves as the peak and the beginning of the downfall. Game's album had a heavy buzz, and around the time that it got released, 50 was also promoting his second album, The Massacre. 50 dropped a diss song off the album, titled Piggy Bank, to cause controversy and thereby boost album sales. The diss track fired shots at Nas, Fat Joe, and Jadakiss. And, incidentally, Game got caught off guard by an interviewer who asked what he felt about these MCs that his associate was going at. Game responded by saying he had no problem with them, and that he respected and would like to work with Jadakiss, Fat Joe, and Nas in the future. 50 Cent took this as offensive and kicked Game off the G-Unit group on radio. They later squashed the beef, and Game's debut album, The Documentary, dropped on Jan 18, 2005, selling 568,000 copies in its first week, and going on to sell 5 million copies worldwide. They squashed the beef pretty quickly, but the reconciliation between him and 50 went sour later, and then Game started an all-out G-Unit campaign. I would say this: disses from Fat Joe, Jadakiss, and the whole D-Block camp started. Slowly, but gradually, the downfall of G-Unit. By the time 50 started signing everybody to the label, from Olivia to M.O.P. to Mobb Deep, Spider-Lock, and the rest, the label was already going down. I think Mobb Deep were the only ones that enjoyed a little of that G-Unit shine before the ship went down. And it wasn't even for their good in the long run, cause they lost a lot of fans because of that move. 50 Cent came in the game dissing other rappers, and with every of his albums, after that he had someone new to diss cause, he found a formula that worked for him: controversy sells. With Get Rich or Die Trying, he was going at Ja Rule and the whole Murder Inc. crew. With The Massacre, he was going at Nas, Jadakiss, Fat Joe, and later Game. In 2007, with the Curtis album, he was going at Kanye West, but at this point, his empire had already started crumbling. He went from selling 6 million copies of The Massacre in 2005 to only selling 1 million with Curtis album 2 years later after 6 videos before dropping the album, and a budget of $26 million, which he failed to recoup. And it became worse when Before I Self-Destruct managed to sell only 500,000 copies after a whole year on the chart. He once laughed at people that sold that low, now he was humbled. And the negative gimmick he used in boosting sales of his album had backfired on him. Interscope dropped his G-Unit label in 2009, and Lloyd Banks had to release his third album on E1, an independent label. I guess what goes around comes around. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the rise and fall of the G-Unit empire. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.